Awesome. I'm Alex. I'm a Webflow enthusiast first. I'm a JavaScript developer second, and I'm a designer third. So, and the reason I'm here, you would wonder, why is a developer coming to talk about design? But if we can, just backtrack a bit to 2013, when I didn't know the first thing about coding or anything, then it was a point where I was looking for tools that can enable me to, to build production level applications, websites. But then I could not meet that gap because there were no specific no-code tools there. But you would have weeks, but then they would restrict you to the very templates that they provide on the store. You have WordPress, good luck with PHP. You have all these tools that require you to have some elevated understanding of that, the development process that they sort of encompassed. So I remember we were seated one day and this client who's in dry cleaning, I think you know them, probably the biggest in Kenya right now. They came to us and they told us we need to move away from a very generic template-based website, and we want to have a very unique, online experience that is it's more personalized. These guys have been in business for about over 50 years at this point. So we didn't want to, just mark up that opportunity. So that's when I went and tried. Anyone heard of Adobe Muse? Yeah, and well, it didn't work from the start because the code, whatever it produces will fill up about 20 something words of scrolls just to get to where you see the code that you need for your website to work. So then I started looking online for web development tools, and that's when I met this young. First of all, I saw it on Product Hunt, and then I googled a bit about it. I saw that there was a beta version that was being offered. I didn't know what it was. So actually, with what I have currently, that I joined in 2015, that is maybe the day-to-day account that I have. I started looking at Webflow when they were out of Y Combinator, and there was this whole new wave of this tool that was taking up the world of web development with minimal code back then, at least. And it's come a long way since then. And that's what I'm here to talk about. And what the talk focuses as the very 1980s named talk here it's basically looking at Webflow, but not from the aspect of what these components are or what it provides, but basically from what it can do. And how we will be approaching this is basically taking some use cases, right? Things that if you're in web development, you're in web design, you're in UX, whatever you do, you've encountered one of these situations. It's one of those fun things to do on a Friday evening when you're about to wrap up work. I just need the logo to be bigger. I just need this. I like blue, not green. So basically, what this will do is take each of those points and explain a feature in Webflow using that. Cool. Okay, so I think to begin, if you want to follow along on your phone, on your computer, you can scan this QR code or just go to nairobi.webflow.io. It has this talk. So I think the best way for a keynote, if you can call it this, is to present the keynote using the platform itself. So this is a site made in Webflow, but it is made with customization and all that. So you can use these two to navigate, right? So you just click on it wherever you see it, and you'll be able to move back and forth through the slides. So I think I had already introduced myself. I think that's my likeness, sort of, you know, maybe 3 years earlier. I am, as I said, I'm a designer, developer, and for entities. So what I mean by this is that currently I do a lot of design work in Webflow, and then export that to use external frameworks, or mark that up for visualization apps, because data visualization is what we are doing currently. So learn more about me, you can visit that link. So it is it basically explains who I am, what I run, or what I run after 5 basically, and yeah, you'll get to know more about me there. So I think NOCODE at this point is pretty self-explanatory, and what NOCODE means basically is and this huge collection of applications that are looking to make development. And I sometimes NOCODE is a bit too elevated, right? Because as much as there is no code, you still need code to extend functionality. One framework cannot handle everything. So what NOCODE does, actually, most people refer to it as low code. So what low code means is that it takes the minimum amount of coding effort for you to get to an end goal, right? So and with that, that is where Webflow comes in. If you're in web development, then this is probably one of the tools that you should be very keen on, because based on what I've seen from when it was developed and up to now, it has really picked up, and the frequency of features that they push out every quarter is quite promising about what this app can do in the future. So Webflow is a web-based app, and it's a visual tool that will help you to design, develop, and deploy well-performing websites. So what that means is that Webflow will act like a Photoshop or your Sketch or your Figma, depending on your taste, and it will also act as your IDE, because it has coding extension, like it has code areas that you can code in to extend the functionality of those designs. And it also acts in itself is a hosting platform, because you can also deploy the website right where you design it. So as I told you earlier, Webflow started in 2013 through a seed A funding from Y Combinator, and it was founded by brothers Vlad and Serge Magdalene, and another partner who is now the CEO is called Brian Cho. So and the story is pretty defining from there. I think you can find a lot. How this is structured is that every feature that we discuss, there will be sources and links that you can follow to learn more about that particular feature. So now, a few stats about Webflow. Webflow right now boasts about 1.5, actually it's about 1.2 something million users. And these are both current and historical. So what I mean by that is anybody who has ever deployed an account on Webflow, or any product that it has ever been used to launch, it stands at about that much. And there are currently about 95,000 sites, and about that much in the ones that have ever been deployed there. And I think last year, they were able to raise that much in funding. This is maybe some numbers according to Forbes. And it's currently valued anywhere between $350 million to about 400. So, and this from a company that had an initial funding of $2 million. So you can see how that has blown up over time. So you can find those details there. It will also tell you the number of stats, even people using and companies using Webflow in Kenya. So if you go to this, you'll find the information about these stats. If you go to build with, you'll find how many people are using this in the country, and you can go to Webflow for more information on that. So I think let's get to the bones of this platform. So everything you see here, there is no GIF. Will you say that? I don't know. Let me stick with GIF. So there is no GIF. There is no animated PNG. None of that. Everything you see here is made in Webflow. All these interactions are made visually. You know, there's nothing that you're coding. You're just putting in, dragging elements here, using an animation module, and putting out semantic, clean, succinct HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. No matter. Basically, what it means is that what you put in the designer will come out as clean code in the browser. So now, the Webflow ecosystem is made of a few things. If you look, there's a designer, which is basically where everything happens. And then there's an interactions module where you make this kind of thing. And there's a content management system. So think a visual CMS, maybe something like that. You put in data and you're able to see data as you design. So like not design a template and then start marking it up with, like if you have developers here, like you would take React and then you take this code out of Webflow, go mark it up in React, put a global state or something that is coming and rendering data in templates, right? Webflow is doing this in your designer as you design your website. So so I think it is very important to sort of understand what Webflow as both a development tool, a data management tool, and a visual tool does for your development capabilities. So Webflow also comes with e-commerce, and also with e-commerce you're able to design every aspect of your store, from the cart to the email that the customer receives. So the editor gives your clients the ability to edit their pages in place. So no more looking at the backend, or rather, giving your client a sort of stripped down version of your CMS, and then they put in text, and then they have to go to the front end to see whether they put in the text correctly or not, or updated content correctly or not. So we'll be looking at each of these individually using the use cases that we talked about earlier. So hosting, they have probably the best uptime I've ever seen for any app. Don't forget that this is a company that is serving about 1.5 billion page views a month. So for you to have that level of power, if you can say that, it means that your server architecture, your resources, your CDNs, and all that whole ecosystem has to be quite, it has to be beefy. And Webflow actually deploys websites in a very, it's very interesting we'll discuss about hosting bit shortly. So now, remember those Friday evening things that you hear from clients wanting you to update things? So this is one. So, and we are going to use this to talk about the design, right? So the design is a feature in Webflow. So this is where you are looking at what you're changing, how you've received your mockup from your designer, and So this is actually, most of these experiences are my own experiences. So I thought to use them to sort of explain why Webflow now comes and meets that need as it arises. So for today, this is more of an introductory sort of talk. So we won't dive so much into the platform itself. You'll have a brief look. What I would like you to do is that after this, just go and create a free account. They give you oops. Okay, so yeah, so basically what they do is that they give you a free account for you to test the platform to its full limits, and then only when you are ready to deploy, they now require a charge or something. It's about depending on what you use, it's about 1,000 all the way to 4,500, 89,000 if you are a team. Not 89,000, sorry, 8,900 if you are a team. Yeah, and basically what that means is that you can work on the same website at the same time. So it has some elements of Git in it, but visually. So about 3 of you can be making different changes on our website at the same time, and it will still work flawlessly. So drag, drop, and beyond, what that means is that WeSuite, I think everybody has heard of that. What you see is what you get. So Webflow is sort of a WYSIWYG on steroids. It sort of takes what you would expect from a WYSIWYG and gives it to you, and does not restrict what you do with whatever you're dragging and dropping. So what it does basically with the canvas, because you get a sort of a canvas to work with, is that you drag HTML elements in there, and then you are defining attributes to these elements just as you would in code, but in a visual UI. So think Photoshop. And I think the best thing actually to do, rather than to is just to show you just a bit of what I mean. Sorry. So let's take one of these, for instance, right? So this is just something that we did for KFC in Saudi, a while back. So this is basically how Webflow looks. So you can see it's almost like Photoshop, right? Think of this as your layers. Think of that as your, assets panel or something like that, So what it does is that anytime that you're dragging and dropping an element, is, you see whatever you're pulling in there. If you've designed HTML in, I think let me see if I can make this a bit bigger. I think if you've designed HTML, then you'll understand the various tags that you use. There are paragraphs or all that. So what Webflow is doing, it's not giving you a sort of abstracted element, then they do something in the backend that now also comes and gives you some sort of marked up. I think you've seen, like, in most of these WYSIWYGs, you'll get a single element, and then that element will have so many tags just to define a very small component, So for instance, I need this positioned at X, like the absolute positioning that Muse used to do. And then you find that this div block even though you have used it for the same exact purpose somewhere else, the two will not have the same attributes. So you will end up with this boatload of code that you don't know what to do with really. And once you go and sell that to a developer, that you now want them to mark up that website, like for a backend developer, or rather a front-end developer, sorry, they will look at that code and you are basically giving them about a whole extra week of stripping that code down to its into a bare component. So I don't want to concentrate a lot on this, but basically I wanted you to see the UI of how Webflow looks. So, and we'll come to this later if we have time. But for now, I think let's get back here. Yeah, so the good thing about Webflow is you're able to see what you're designing. You're not coding and then going to the browser to look at the updates that you have just made. You're also, they're also giving you the ability to upload all your development assets and then just pick them as you need them. So think, do I have an image? Yes. Do I want to pull this image to be my header or hero area or whatever? Yes. So what do? I'll just go to the layers panel, drag that image immediately in the back end. That forms an image tag, and you have your hero. So, and then from there you can customize it further, just as you would with development. So Webflow, one of the best features of Webflow, is this this one here. They have this feature that is called symbols, and what symbols do is it's almost like templated sections of websites. So you design that symbol once. Say you have a footer, right? If you're designing a raw HTML website, then you need to copy your footer in every single place, right? And this is mostly focusing on the front-end developers at this point, because you know that with the backend you can mark this up, etc., and then it will just be automatic. But if you're going to present a front-end design, basically, and you have a footer that you also now need to update on a different page. If you do that in HTML, then HTML is not smart enough to know that it was updated here, it needs being updated here. You have updated a footer in your about page, it's still the same information in the home page. And I think you have seen some of these things, especially with websites that have been sold as CMS ready, but ideally it's just a website that is marked up with something like like Jaco, So it means that if you miss an update somewhere, it may not translate to other parts of the site. So what Webflow does, it enables you to design things called symbols, and these symbols, you can use them to update a particular instance of a design site-wide, right? So I have a footer, I want to change maybe the links that are there. I do that once in design, and then it will recognize everywhere else you drag that footer, it will have the updated information. So basically what Webflow is doing is like giving you these modules in your designer that sort of behind the scenes are synchronizing the content that is in whatever you're designing at any given time. So I think you've seen some weirdly complex interactions of late on websites, and you're just wondering how people are doing that. And besides things like WebGL and other things like that, there's CSS Grid now, and there's Flexbox where you can just design things as you see fit, and these are responsive designs. It means that they will scale properly across different devices. So what Webflow does is to give you all these abilities from a visual canvas, right? So what you're doing, you are dragging and dropping interactions. However, that I know it's weird to grasp, because ideally with CSS animations you've had like to code these long levels of an interaction, you know. What I think you call them keyframes, you know, to, and then from, and then to, and then from, and then you have this long line of a piece of code just to help you bounce a ball continuously on a page, you know. So Webflow, what it takes all that and packages in a very neat UI that you can just, you know, take this, set this, and I want it to repeat X times and then stop, and then start again, and then stop, or maybe go on forever or not, you know. Yeah, so it basically you're there and you're defining your interactions in every configurable way that you can think of. So whatever we looked earlier, you know, just to go back, this is designed in Webflow, and what this is basically, these are just divs, you know, with if you've been, like, I'm assuming that at least you've come across, you know, CSS basically. I mean, that's why we are all here, I'm guessing, right? So this is a div that has a 50% radius, right? And then you put one div inside another div inside another div, and so they are making this sort of ring. And then on this div in here, you're putting other small ones, and then on this div you are applying that interactions that you tell it, I want you to rotate this way endlessly forever, and the other one rotate that way endlessly. So you're doing transforms ideally, right?
Sorry?
Yes?
This is designed as a presentation.
Yeah.
In Webflow.
Yes.
So it's not just web.
Yeah.
It's not just sites and.
Yes, we'll see. Webflow and
I'm thinking if I wanted to present something to a bunch of people,
yes,
and I wanted to be visually appealing, does Webflow do that? Because this looks like a PowerPoint presentation, but with
it's a website.
Better, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's a site.
It's a website actually. If we do this on Nairobi.webflow.io. Yeah, it's easy to miss because that's how Webflow is.
Especially when you say you go to the next page with the
yeah.
So I just thought it's like a complex presentation.
Oh no, it's not. Actually, this is much easier than it looks. If we have time, we'll go through how this has come together, right?
Okay.
So what Webflow is doing basically is giving you the ability to design. Actually, all these things. I think what you had before, you know, what Jeff had put in the screen here was more of a image, right? But every aspect of this is one div that has many divs inside. This is a div with this is a circle, but all these are divs, you see. But now what I can do in Webflow, I can come and position a button for a slider here and there, so that when I click on this, it acts like a slider. See? If I click on this, you can see there is a small arrow in there. Yeah. So basically, it's very fluid with what you can design. So that's why I was saying, take Webflow as Photoshop on steroids. You can design what you want exactly as you want it, and then take it beyond that design. Yeah. So
this is hosted on Webflow.
Yes, this is hosted on Webflow. They do give you a free domain with every site you make.
Okay.
And then when you're ready to go live, you can now bring in your domain, which will be now like maybe NairobiMeetup.com or something like that, right? So cool. There is a lot to digest about the designer, and well, with Webflow I can probably talk so much about it, but the good thing about Webflow is this, and this is mostly where my whole connection point with Webflow is. Most of the time we are doing these very small prototypes in design prototypes in Webflow, and then we're having to export them to to an external framework so that we can go and do whatever we need to do there. So for instance, you can build a dashboard in Webflow, right? And then you can go and mark it up with whatever language you're using. So Webflow will give you exports. You know, they don't. It's not your Wix. It's not your Squarespace. You know, you are here with us forever. You know, so you design in Webflow, export that for free. You know, you can do design one page at a time, because the free version is limited to about, I think, 2 pages or something like that. But if you are really pressed for resources, they give you that ability to start with a simple, you know, interface, which you can still do everything that the pro interface can, only that it may not scale over time, you know. So all this, you know, I can export as HTML, CSS, and JS. Okay, so basically what this is doing is that you know, as you write Webflow, let me just show you quickly what that is. See this button here? I can click on that, and what it will do, it will start looking at the code that you've made. That's what it generates. As you can see, it's basically media queries and CSS and you know, when we talk about semantics, right? Let me see if we can zoom this further. Oops. So when we talk about semantics, we mean this kind of thing, that whatever is being exported here, right? This main, these headers, these you know, divs, they actually mean they actually translate to what they are supposed to mean, because this is very important for SEO. I think there's someone who deals with ads here, right? So I mean, if you've been like keen on SEO or something, SEO looks for this kind of thing. So it could be easily imported as a div, and it would still work in the same way. But then you would lack the semantic aspect of it, you know. Where, you know, Go is coming and looking and saying, okay, this is the main part of the website, is the header, okay, so that's the navigation should be ideally. So ideally, it's getting a feel of your site, and that's what makes the difference between a website that has, you know, the multiple. You go to some sites and you see they have links in the results, yeah, and then some others just have the description. This is basically what that is typed. So you may want to really focus on semantics even in general web development. Yes.
Do you feel like Webflow is easier with the divs for header and the small tips there? It's easier for SEO than with in comparison to other development tools?
Now, this is a good thing about Webflow.
Because, for example,
yes,
to give you a little context,
yes,
sometimes when we're doing advanced SEO, there's something we call a schema, and usually we come edit that part of the div where the header is and the main topic or whatever.
Yes.
That's where we put in the words to help Google know what our site is about and how they can place us.
Yes.
You feel like Webflow makes that easier, or?
Yes, it does, because Ashima, you said, right?
Yeah.
So this is maybe ideally I would guess a descriptive block of text that is telling a search engine that this is what this div is. Now Webflow has a feature here. It's called element settings, and you can define custom attributes in there. So you can either do this one of two ways, right? You can either these attributes are things like data attributes, etc. That may not serve the needs that you're looking for. But see this div block there, the one that I've just dragged in. I could also come and drop in. So this is the elements panel. So this is basically all the things that you can add to Webflow. So there's the containers, if you introduced to CSS grid and all that, there is that one there that you can drag, and these are visual. But if you come down here, there's this part called an embed. And so what an embed is doing is that if you you can drag and put in a block of custom code inside the element that you want to mark up, right? So you come here, you put all your schemas as you need, and when you export, the schemas will already be in place. If you publish, your schemas will still already be in place. So ideally, it's serving as, and now Webflow also has its own SEO. So besides having the, that kind of thing, you can come and also mark up your website for SEO with all these tags, OG.
And it previews for you.
Yes. Actually, if you put something here, it would preview. For instance, see this. It is an OG preview. Yeah? So if you're doing something on Facebook or any other site that uses OG, then you'll be able to see that. So for instance, let me just do something very quickly here. I'll open, this makes me hungry. So let me just copy. I'm copying the link for this image because I want to use it as an OG image. And then I'll come here, right in the SEO settings. Let's see. Oops. Yeah. So if I paste this link here, right? Bam. We have our SEO ready OG image, or I mean our image, which sometimes this makes the difference between when you share a link via WhatsApp, that being not popping up. Yeah. And which is very important because humans are visual, and if you're not selling visuals, then you are definitely losing a part of your customer base. So anyway, back to our web-enabled presentation here. I think now interactions. I had something like, I don't know what it is about that design, but it lacks pop. It's not popping. It's not speaking to me. And basically, that's the version of a client telling you that they can't really place what is wrong with your design. They know it's good, but it's not awesome. It's not popping. So basically, that's what we are discussing. Now, Webflow gives you this huge library of interactions that you can use. The problem is, one thing I've seen with a lot of designers is that they tend to overuse interactions. So you've opened a website, things are flying top down, right, left, and center. You have text that is wavy and that and there's something called visual stigma, and someone can suffer that when they see a lot of that, and that's why Webflow, keeps reminding you to
design responsibly.
So this is responsibly, yes, but the idea, this was like one of those things that, what do you call them, an anagram. So it's designed responsibly. So what basically they mean, use design as a tool to achieve a goal, but not as a tool of to test your skills. Yeah. So cool. I don't think we should dwell so much on interactions. I think if now one important thing is this part here. So see how you have a website. Like for instance, if I was to reload this, right? Let me just reload it. You can see that those guys are communicating and all that. And then we have our presentation, right? So that interaction, basically what it's doing, let me just play that again. So this is a transform, a CSS transform that plays for about 7 seconds, stops, and then the next step of interactions, as they call them, but ideally just animations, comes in, which tells it to scale to the full viewport size, and then after that, show me the content. And this you have designed step by step using a visual, using sort of things like layers, So you are taking this one here, and then just defining whatever you need it to do. And basically that is how Webflow sort of scales to meet you at what you need to achieve with your design. So basically, interactions are what in web development in the past. Interactions are what you have achieved with things like libraries like jQuery animation. You have achieved with what else? Is this other one? What your front-end? Now there's this green sock. There was one called green sock, which to me was one of the hardest things to use for an animation. You know, you have to define this, like this block of code for you to just open a light box, you know? So now imagine if we visit the Webflow site here for a moment, what I want to do is show you the interactions that Webflow uses on their site, and there are quite a lot. Okay. Let me just go back here and see if we can there. So with Webflow, you can see that there is quite a lot that you can learn from these sites. So I just take time to go through the site and see the features and see how they work. But you see all these small interactions, and then you can go to a page where let's see, features, interactions, now where they demo the full power of interactions. So this is basically Webflow telling you that this is all our interaction library can do in one page. So you can imagine the number of CSS interactions that are on this page, right? The good thing about Webflow, they use Webflow to design their own site. So whatever they are showing you here has been designed using their own platform. So, and ideally some sort of, enterprise proof, if you may call it that. Now, look as I scroll, you see there are all these things that are doing this. I think this was Parallax, which was cool like in 2015, you know, but Webflow now comes about and, you know, brings it in a very new way. And I remember Parallax used to be one of those things I was like, oh my god, I won't put it so much on my client side, you know. I know it's a bank, yes, but you know, they should have like 5 different animations just to show you the hero, you know. So there's all that. But then again, all these things that you're designing here with no code, absolutely, may look so easy at the front end, but this is a huge undertaking when it comes to the kind of code it produces. So Webflow, what it is doing, just scroll quickly. Oh, so there. So this is a code sample, right? Let me just get that right before we suffer the demonstration effect. Oh yeah, what do you know? Okay, I think we'll skip that. But what this would have shown is a huge, about 20 pages worth of interactions that have gone into, that have been produced from the animations that you've just seen. So if you are to design that animation site the way Webflow has designed it using by hand, you would be there for quite a long time. Now the thing is, sort those animations, once you get the flow of animations in our website, it's so easy to do that you do them in days or hours instead of weeks or months. This whole presentation here, including the interactions that you've just seen, I did last night. And yes, and I remember telling my significant other, you know, I am at that point that you know, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to do this, but then once the flow starts and you get into that point and you're like, oh, okay, I can do this once and then just replicate it across different things and still get the point across. So that is how easy Webflow makes that the whole design process. So now, don't worry, we only have like 2 more sections to go. So the CMS, content management system. So what about my 86 posts in WordPress? How do I bring them to Webflow? And why 86? 86 is just Webflow in numbers. Yeah? And the reason I chose it is because I remember once a long time back, I had to import 128 articles from WordPress by hand into Webflow. Because back then it was very young and they didn't have this automatic imports. So in WordPress, you would export a CSV or any other CMS for that case. If it's well built, you're able to export a CSV and then import that in Webflow. So it's like you just get your content out, get your content in new sites, and your clients can manage it by actually seeing what they are updating. So you can do it manually, God forbid. You can do it via CSV or via the API. Webflow provides a very simple to follow API that you can use to update content or pull content. So you can use the Webflow CMS with your app or something else, and if you just need a content management system, then Webflow can be that for you. So we had spoken about this, and this is so the data that you just imported. You're using the designer to view that data, and how you do that is basically that the template. So ideally, take a blog, and what a blog does basically is just to aggregate articles that you have in the backend, right? And then it puts them in a list in one place, and every time someone puts in new data, then it comes either as the first one, last one, middle one, depending on how your chronological what you call it, like depending on how you've sorted by dates for your post to show up. Now the thing about that is that you have to go into a rich text editor, right? And then you have to put your title, and then you have to put your subject, and then you have to put your body, and then after you do all that, you hope that when you go to the front end, you have not made a mistake in your editor, that can cost. I mean, mistakes in production are very costly. We look at that. I see some companies which have made some real blunders with a simple spelling mistake. So with Webflow, there is no database to manage. There is no, you're not managing any sort of content. So basically, there are no servers to manage. There is no backend to manage. So ideally, Webflow is no pain in the right? Yeah. These are I think these are PG-rated presentations. So let's keep it there. So guys, don't forget this resource. They are very important. At the bottom of every slide you get something that can show you what that is about. So cut pages. If you've designed an e-commerce using any of these enterprise level applications, be WooCommerce or Craft CMS, Shopify, etc. Getting the cut page and the checkout to look exactly the way you want is a pain. Like, it's almost unachievable because they feel that part of the page should be secure and you should not be able to interfere with it in any way, be it design or anything. Now, Webflow does not only let you do that securely, but will let you even design the kind of alerts that your customers are receiving. So, sales notifications, order notifications, etc. All this you're getting from how you've designed them in Webflow. So now this part here, about letting customers pay or at their best convenience. Currently, Webflow is supporting Stripe, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and PayPal. And more soon. The reason I'm saying more soon is because Webflow is this in the roadmap. There is this new feature that is coming to Webflow, which is bound to be very powerful. Probably change the way web development is how we view web development. And what that does is they're bringing a sort of a JavaScript or something like that, an API, so that you can interface with Webflow and then develop your custom apps for Webflow. So see how we have we have Lipa na M-Pesa online, which would require if you want to integrate that, then people with elevated experience can tell you it's quite hard to do. Assuming that you're a beginner, right? For instance, there's a project that I was doing that needs Lipa na M-Pesa online, except for this one God-sent guy on Medium who has outlined the whole process of integrating that platform in Node.js. I was way out. I was thinking about hiring someone who would do this for me or something like that. But then, so that is what Webflow is trying to sort of remove. So you as a developer will be able to come and develop your apps ideally, and then be able to sell them to the community. So that's and these apps that you're developing, they are not. One of the things I like about Webflow is that it keeps design consistent. So even in those apps, the major pain is how to make design achievable to the end user. Besides other security concerns, as you know, with JavaScript inside the framework, right? Yeah. So so those are probably things to follow on. This may not be your main framework, but it's a good thing just to keep an eye on it. I think it has the potential to become something very robust, something that you can use to build web apps altogether. So of course, there are all those features that come with e-commerce. There are the tax groups, roles, marketing integrations, automations. If you're thinking, I want to after my customer buys some eggs from me, I want to send them an email about buying a chicken. All those kinds of basically what would you call them? No-code processes. Zapier, if you've heard of it, I'm sure probably you've heard of it, and Parabola sort of do the same thing. So these are no-code tools that enable you to take outputs and even inputs into Webflow, and then use them as if it's an API, whatever, So you're able to interface with Webflow in so many ways. Right now, you're using the project that you're currently building at work is still inside Webflow, but we are trying to bring authentication into Webflow, so that think of a situation where you need admins only to invite users, which is easy with other platforms, right? But think of doing that visually without having to write code. So you build the authentication part, NOCODE. You build the authorization part as well, NOCODE. And then you have a fully secured membership sort of site, with roles, restrictions, etc. So it's one of those things that it's very interesting to test. So what we do mostly at work, we do a lot of experiments with this platform to sort of understand understand its limits, basically, because remember I said that no code does not mean absolutely no code. It means that for some of the very specific needs that you will encounter, your client may ask a very specific need, as with any framework that you may not be in a position to understand. Then that is where the knowledge of code that you have currently comes in, right? So, editor. You can read that in any way you want, So, mistakes, as I said, are costly, especially when made in production environments where your content is key, right? If whatever you're pushing to the market, or you selling your product or you selling your service is basically attributed to what you say, then a mistake like this may be very costly. I know some of you can read it in a certain way, some of you can read it in another way. But now imagine your let's say the senior VP of Facebook or something like that, and you're using Webflow, however that strange may be. And then you're updating content, and then since you're doing it in the front end, in the admin area, and then publishing it, and probably not verified what you just typed, then you won't be able to see it until you've published your website, right? I know you can publish in a sort of sandbox environment like WordPress does. I think you can do live preview or something like that. But assume that you build your own CMS where some of those features like live preview are not a luxury. So, and you've done that, and then a segment of your customers have already seen it before it goes. You take it down. So let's look at some costly blunders, right, made by top level companies. So, and these are not only web development blunders, right? They sum up like how when content is cookies. Yeah, so these are very interesting post in HubSpot. And they just go through some of the things that had, So let's see my favorite one. Okay, McDonald's. Try a bacon and cheese burger. There is one burger that is called an Angus burger. I'll leave that to your imagination. So. H&M spelled genius wrong, So I don't know what kind of genius that is, but I'm very sure that guy will not feel like a genius after wearing that shirt for a few days. There is one by Lush. Oops, we can't apostrophe them. These are multi-billion companies that make mistakes in an editor, and then it comes out this way. Yeah? So it's very easy. It's very easy to see how now a mistake can be very costly in terms of what your content is, and this is why in live page editing is such an important tool when it comes to you handing over your sites to your clients in such a way that they click. So for instance, let me see if I can get an instance of a live edit using this website, right? So let me just change this a bit to Nairobi. So this is the view of this whole presentation in Webflow. So I think let's just combine some of these things. Yeah, so as you can see, I can hover on elements and you can see what they are. And you can click on one to edit it either in the designer. But what I want to focus on at this time is what Webflow calls the editor. And the editor is sort of an abstracted view that hides the designer from your clients. So they're able to interact with the website, change data, but they're not able to change things like this. You can let them change anything because you can restrict what can be edited or not. So for instance, say I want, let's just look at one quick example here. There is one part, let me see if this can be bigger. So there is this one part called collaborators can edit this element. If you unpick that, your client cannot be able to change that element. They may think, maybe the logo that you designed was not big enough. So they decide to upload an image that now takes half of your screen, and before you know it, they are calling you that whatever you designed, there was a problem, etc. So what Webflow does is that it gives you the ability to customize bits of what you can, of what you can edit. And basically, this can be as granular as you want. So you can lock up the whole div or lock up a single text. So if you lock up the div and then unlock a text, they cannot edit everything in the div, but they can edit that particular element that you've locked at that level. This does not add any markup to your website. How they do that, I don't know. So let's just view the editor quickly. And so your clients are able to access this part using a link or let's see if the JavaScript will mess things up. So just give it a minute. You can see there's a parameter there that goes like edit one. So clients are able to log to this instance using a username and password that you have given them in the backend of. There's one part of Webflow called the dashboard. So see, as I hover on these things, I can make in-page in-page edits, and this is very good for your clients because they are not having to guess what kind of information they have updated. So they are not ping-ponging between the live site and the backend, ideally, or the admin, right? So they're able to do this as they see. So for instance, let's start our own movement called NOCODE, and so of course this may not allow me to publish since I'm also logged into the designer. Oh, what do you know? So and it will tell you the number of changes that it makes, right? So if you make one change here and another one, and then you forget another change that you have made, it will tell you the number of changes that you made and also list them here for you to see. And you just need to click back on them to go to the particular change. So if we publish this one change, so I'm assuming that I'm a client to my own presentation. So if I go back and reload this, see, because I logged into the editor, now it will give me the ability to. So we have our new movement. And this happens simultaneously. You can be editing, your client can be updating content. So it doesn't, really affect the way that you basically design, because designers should design, content marketers and editors and clients should concentrate on marketing and content. So the two should be separate. So yeah, now finally, let me just close this out. Let's reload this. I'm sure by now you've so this is what I talk about this is what I talk about when I'm talking about visual fatigue. Assuming the number of times you have to see that reload on a website, you quickly get tired of seeing that one thing. So it's very crucial for you to design from the perspective of you as the designer and also you as the user. How do you feel when you have seen that thing do that so many times? So I put it intentionally that way so that to sort of evoke that sort of feeling. So now, finally, what's going on? Oh, I think the editor is sort of bringing. Well, they say that it's not a talk until you hit demonstration effect. When you're trying to demonstrate things and things don't work. So I think things should be fine now. I think so. What Webflow is basically doing when you log into the editor, it's just taking a cookie into the storage, and then so that you don't have to keep keying back. That is sort of basically how any login would work, right? So let's just go back to that slide. So this is the downside of this part. You have to click every single part, but you can also extend this with code. So that when I click on number 1 here, I want it to go to slide number 6. There are so many things that you can do, or you can even put buttons here, so that when I click this, it will take me to slide number 10, and so on and so on. So finally, hosting, deployment, backend, server administration, DevOps, etc. It's a nightmare. Sometimes I think DevOps is even more complicated than the web development itself, because if you need someone who has a very custom server, and they need a very custom instance or a very specific flavor of Ubuntu on their server or something like that, then it becomes sort of a nightmare to sort of put that together and deploy. So if in web development, I don't think you should be worrying about the hosting part. Webflow does that for you. So 3 domains, all of them with SSL secured. Soon Google will be phasing out most HTTP websites. I bet in the next sort of 5 years, HTTP as a security standard will be almost probably be used in a very limited number of cases. So Webflow ships with HTTPS ready for any site you publish. It's a free certificate. I know if you've done server administration, there are ways that you can get free certificates. Let's encrypt and bunch, right? So so what Webflow does, you won't get your clients one day waking up and then our favorite local host has decided that their servers will not work that day. So your client is losing about 20k shillings every hour, or that your server is down. So Webflow, what it does, it has one of the best uptimes I've ever seen. I think since I started using Webflow, it has had only about 2 days of downtime for all that time that I can really say, interfered with my workflow. And why was that? Is because Amazon Web Services was done. So and that goes to prove about the reliability of some of these technologies, right? So Webflow at the core is using Amazon Web Services. It is using Fastly. Fastly is a CDN, and it's using a newer version of HTTP for requests, so HTTP 2, which is it's faster. There is more security in there.
What does CDN mean?
Yeah?
What does CDN mean?
Content Delivery Network. Content. Yeah, so think of your website, which just serves the views and the images and the files and the music that you can't store on your server. So ideally think Google Drive for website, yeah, where you need an image fast. So what CDNs do actually, they see how VPNs work. VPNs will usually deploy servers to wherever, right? For instance, one VPN has, I think, I can't remember the name, but it has about 1,014 servers worldwide, just to make sure that when you want to be anywhere, you can. Webflow has about 100 plus servers worldwide, or delivery points. So when you're going to Nairobi.webflow, you're not pinging back the server in San Francisco. You're pinging the one in SA, or the one in Egypt, somewhere nearby, So if you're in Asia, it will ping the one in Hong Kong, the one in Indonesia, the one in Singapore. If you're in the UK, it's pinging the one in Berlin. So they optimized, and that's why probably the only bottleneck with Webflow is your internet speed. But if you're loading an average page in Webflow, it takes Webflow is one of those platforms that have been rated with grade A performance. It takes about 1.4 seconds to load up. It's called time to fast paint, right? Like before your client sees anything, you're not just boring them with nice animation that we were seeing, you know. So ideally, what that means is that you are able to you know, give content when it's needed, rather than have someone looking at loading screen for about 7 seconds. Yeah. So just so you know, that loading is simulated. The website is actually loaded probably in about a second or two, but I had just put that loading animation to you know, just keep it there. So so Webflow God forbid. Webflow comes with free site hosting. You get you know, ideally you can publish as many domains as you want with you know, this extension webflow.io, and only connects your domain when you're ready to go live. Webflow has served this much views. The last time it was measured, it served about 1.5 billion views per month. So that means that whether you're serving your clients, your 10 clients, or whether you're serving your million clients, Webflow will handle that for you, assuming they all log into your site simultaneously, because of this technology stack. So now that's all good that we've looked at Webflow, but what about you as a designer? I mean, what is your work ethic? What makes you utilize this platform and be you? You know, what gives you the edge over other people? So, well, the first one there is basically, you know, just feel like a pro. You know, you go to Dribble, you go to Behance, you know, look at all people are doing, get to learn, go to the Webflow showcase. People are building amazing things with Webflow, by the way. And you can see all this information is down there. Feeling like a pro does not mean that you are taking someone's design and then making it your own. It's basically that you are learning the best cues from them and then applying them to your use case. And because that is what will make you unique as a designer. So beyond that, you have to really fight for your work. It's good to know when you're wrong, but also understand that you need to stand your ground when you're right. That has its own consequences, I can tell you, but it also has its own. I think the pros are more than the cons. You get to validate yourself as a professional, you get to validate yourself as a designer, developer, and you get more credibility that way. So, I've always found it good not to leave too much to the client's imagination. It's always good to explain what Webflow can and can't do. You know, Webflow will help you design a very good production-ready site. It will help you sell goods online. It will not help you switch on your light bulb. It will not help you, you know, okay, Google your way to. And I have to say that because I knew that would trigger people's phones when they listen to this, right? Yeah. So it will not, you know, do some of the things, and it's good when, you know, to be straightforward about even your skills as a professional. So also feelings and control. You know, you've been working at this thing for a long time now. I remember a while back, I don't think one of the features that Webflow has is automatic backups. So think Google Drive for design. Every time you are doing something, it has done an automatic backup. So if you can remember, so ideally it's automated version control, you know. So if you can remember the last time that you made a mistake and then go to the automatic backup like 5 minutes before that, retrieve your changes, sync them with your current changes. You can open 2 design instances of the same website on the same browser, then copy content across. Simply that easy. I think we are all here because we share a love for this platform that you know, helps us to design products that, you know, touches the lives of the people that we design them for. So I think that comes with a responsibility to use this to do good, basically. I think even as designers, we need to draw lines. You'll come to a point where you need to make a moral choice, you know, whether to design something that does not fall along who you are, or design something that does not speak to what your code as a developer or designer are. And what this does is that it helps you to stick to that. Webflow has a very good code of conduct. Even this presentation itself has a code of conduct. So that's why I like it as a platform, because it does not only speak to me from a very technical point. I also admire the commitment that the team at Webflow has in terms of what they value. They say that they don't have core values, they have core behaviors, because with values it's something that you can read and then try to emulate it. With behaviors it's something that you become. So thank you. It's Black History Month, so there's a black shirt for you. But more to that, you can learn more from here. Webflow did a very nice feature on accomplished Black designers, people in Uber, people in Vision. It's a very interesting article to go and read and sort of increase your chops as a developer, designer, or just an enthusiast of Webflow. I don't know if I say that word quite well, but I think we are done. Okay, thank you.
Have you ever encountered a scenario whereby you've been given work by a client and maybe you want you to meet in Webflow, but then the requirements of that type of job is for you need to see whatever he wants you to do. I don't think Webflow has the capability for such at the moment.
Yes, and probably that is the bulk of what I do. Because what I do, my main profession now, besides design, is I'm a JavaScript developer. So what I do from my day-to-day is that basically using Webflow and then building apps based on the designs that I've made in there. So think you want a dashboard, right? But then you can design that dashboard in 2 days in Webflow and then export the HTML, CSS, and JS, and then mark up with your framework. So which of these two flows seem good for you? Does it make sense for you to export the design or to go and code HTML, CSS, and JS on top of your backends or app that you're using? So of course Webflow, there are these cases that it may not meet, but what Webflow does very well and very consistently is design. So basically, and I think that's why more developers ideally should be interested in Webflow, because what the worry goes away from is that it now sort of becomes a platform where you're only worrying about after I export this design, what do I do next? It's not like, is this design done? Is there back and forth? Yeah. So it can meet any variety of those needs that you talk about, but also it's also good to know what can be accomplished with Webflow. So, yeah. So, yes.
Thank you for the presentation. I think it's really fascinating to know that it's something that has this matter. So the question is about if you talk about features like e-commerce.
Yes.
Then in that case you have data interacting with users and data, for example, data collecting maybe email and stuff like that.
Yes.
So at what point or how do you, because you say there's no database to manage.
Yes.
So how do you manage that data? How do you get that?
That data lives and exists in the content management system. So the content management system does not only serve as a backend. Okay, I hate doing this because I love WordPress, but I always find myself comparing the two because for me it was what was before and what is now, right? So again with WP, you'd have to sort of define your host, right? And then there's this host, this host, this host, this host. And then in some way, this whole because for every WordPress instance that you download, you have to host it on a server, right? And then you have to do administration of that server to support PHP 7, PDO, SQL, etc., right? So those are the things that have been taken away with Webflow. Because with Webflow, you're only worrying about the kind of data that you're putting into the platform. So ideally, think of how you can export all those CSVs that have your data and then import them somewhere, and then you only have to worry about how you're using that data on the front end. So that is how basically Webflow sort of alleviates that need for you to maintain a server, ideally, because there's this very notorious thing that happens with WordPress, especially if you don't have automatic updates disabled. You've designed your nice looking website, you've coded it in, you've even gone ahead over and above and even made the WordPress admin area to be themed, and then a plugin updates, right? And then it comes and messes everything up. So you're getting database errors shown left and center. So that is basically what when we talk about not databases to manage, is basically you're not so focused on what happens behind the scenes. You're only focused on the data and how it's consumed. Good. Okay. Cool.
So at the end of the day, it allows you to report stuff.
Yes, that's the good thing. Webflow does not keep you tied down to that framework. It's not like you're here and you're here to stay. If you feel like you want to take your data, the good thing, now this is the good thing about Webflow. Webflow, assume that you have designed your whole one into something plus articles, and then you decide, well, this is not it for me. I need to go and try another platform or something. God forbid, I don't know why, but it may happen. All that you have, remember those data like the pages, or ideally the views that you imported the data from. So ideally they are being served off of a dynamic template, right? You are not going for your H6 posts and going to each and everyone and updating data. It's one dynamic design that you have put, and then Webflow is updating data there dynamically. So the moment you decide to export your posts, Webflow now takes all those posts and makes them into static pages, so that you're able to export a website that can work without a database. So assuming that now you need to go and define data again, you can export this database as a CSV as well and import it wherever you're going to use. Yeah, so that is how that